They married her for status, mocked her at dinners, and dismissed her as a tech outsider. What they didn't know was that she already owned the future. Now, Elena holds 51% of the empire. The patriarch is out, the golden daughter has been demoted, and the husband left behind. But she didn't come for revenge. She came to rewrite the dynasty, and she's just getting started.
The crystal goblets chimed as Lawrence lifted his glass for a toast, his voice booming across the polished oak table in the Hawthorne family's sprawling Connecticut estate. Another monthly dinner, another chance for them to remind me I was an outsider. I adjusted the silk dress, custom-made at Victor's insistence, to fit the part, and forced a smile. My name is Elena, and 4 years ago, I married into what New England's high society calls legacy. Tonight, like every other, I'm surrounded by faces that see me as a novelty, a project their golden boy Victor plucked from obscurity. To Victor's latest triumph, Lawrence declared, his tone carrying the unshakable Hawthorne command, a merger that's set to redefine the industry. The table erupted in nods and murmurs of approval, all eyes on my husband, who basked in the glow. I took a delicate sip of wine, resisting the urge to gulp it down. Across from me, Cassandra, Victor's sister, tilted her head, her diamond earrings catching the chandelier's light. Elena, how's that little side hustle of yours? Still tinkering with those, what are they, blog posts? Her smile was sharp, practiced. I set my glass down, meeting her gaze. It's a tech consultancy. Actually, we've been scaling up, working with some major clients. She waved a manicured hand before I could finish. Oh, right. Mother, do you remember when I tried that online boutique in college? Adorable how these things fizzle out. Victor chuckled, his hand brushing mine in a way that felt more patronizing than affectionate. Sweetheart, maybe it's time to aim for something more practical. The yacht club needs help with their gala. I sliced into my untouched steak, the familiar heat of shame creeping up my spine. Thanks for the idea, I said softly, my voice steady despite the sting. Lawrence, at the head of the table, glanced at his watch for the second time that evening, his brow furrowing slightly. Something was off. I'd noticed his subtle tics all night, fidgeting, exchanging quick looks with Victor. Did you see the Carter's new vineyard? Cassandra pivoted, her voice bright as she steered the conversation to safer ground. 40 acres, though it's quaint compared to our Napa property. I let their chatter wash over me, my mind drifting to when I first met Victor at a bookstore in Hartford. He was warm then, curious about my ambitions, promising we'd build a future together. Now he sat here, nodding as his family reduced me to a footnote in their legacy. Elena, Lawrence's voice snapped me back, sharp and impatient. The pepper, please. As I reached for it, his phone vibrated, and he stood abruptly. Excuse me, I need to handle this. The dining room's hum quieted just enough for me to catch fragments of his hushed call through the door. No, that's unacceptable. Recheck the figures. Victor's jaw tightened, but he masked it with a quick smile. More wine, anyone? I noticed Sophie, Cassandra's teenage niece, watching her grandfather with a quiet intensity that mirrored my own. She caught my eye and offered a small, knowing nod, the only genuine gesture I'd felt all night. Lawrence returned, his face a shade paler, his usual poise fraying at the edges. Where were we? Victor, tell them about the Peterson deal. But his voice wavered, the unshakable Lawrence Hawthorne sounding rattled. After dinner, I lingered in the kitchen, stacking plates despite Evelyn's protests that it wasn't my place. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia, my closest friend and business partner. Check your email, now. I slipped into the guest bathroom, my pulse quickening as I opened the attachment. It was a leaked financial report on Hawthorne Enterprises, the family's century-old conglomerate. The numbers were catastrophic, debts piling up, cash flow drying out. Behind the private jets and charity balls, they were teetering on collapse. Another message from Mia. They're hiding it. Only the C-suite knows. Staring into the ornate mirror, my reflection looked back, calm but electric. For 4 years, I'd endured their jabs while quietly building my tech firm into a powerhouse they couldn't fathom. Now, the universe had dropped a golden chance in my lap. Elena? Victor's voice came through the door, impatient. Mother's serving dessert. Don't keep us waiting. I tucked my phone away, smoothed my dress, and stepped out. Coming, darling. He draped an arm around me as we walked back to the dining room, his touch more possessive than warm. Try to engage more, okay? You're so distant. People might think you're ungrateful. I leaned into him, playing the role. Of course. Just tired from my little project. He laughed, predictable as ever. but for the first time, the barb didn't wound. Instead, a spark ignited, a plan taking shape. My phone buzzed again as we sat down. Another text from Mia. "Call me when you're alone. It's bigger than we thought." Later that night, in my home office, far from Victor's scrutiny, Mia and I pored over the data. Spreadsheets glowed on my screen. Hawthorne's crumbling finances on one, my company's soaring metrics on another. 9 figures, Elena, Mia said, her coffee nearly spilling. "You've been playing small for too long." I pulled up another file. "Look at this. Their European operations are a mess. They're hemorrhaging cash." Mia whistled. "And they think you're scraping by with a blog? Victor told Lawrence you made $20K last year." I smirked. I let him believe it. He's too busy boasting to check. My phone lit up. Nora, my attorney. "Good news?" I asked, putting her on speaker. "Better," Nora's voice crackled. "The holding company's set up, untraceable, just as you wanted. Ready to move?" I glanced at a framed photo on my desk. Victor and me at our engagement party, both smiling, both naive. "Absolutely ready." Mia spun in her chair. "Most people just leave, you know. Get a divorce, move on." I shook my head. "This isn't revenge, it's strategy." She raised an eyebrow. "Sure. And owning their empire has nothing to do with it." Before I could reply, the front door clicked open. Victor was home early. "Quick!" I hissed, closing the financials and pulling up a decoy website for a small consulting gig. Victor appeared in the doorway, tie loosened, eyes narrowed. "Still at it with your startup dreams?" I smiled, unshaken. "Just wrapping up. How was your day?" He grinned, oblivious. "Fantastic. Dad secured a new investor. We're celebrating tomorrow. Dinner at the club." I stood, smoothing my blouse. "Actually, I have a meeting." His brow furrowed. "This late? Since when do you have meetings?" "Since my little project started growing," I said, my tone light but pointed. "Don't wait up." The meeting wasn't with a client. Instead, I sat in a sleek Manhattan office, facing 4 Hawthorne Enterprises board members Nora had discreetly contacted. "Ms. Elena," the eldest began, "your proposal is significant. 51% ownership?" Nora nodded. "With full voting rights." "Generous considering the company's current state." Another member hesitated. "Lawrence won't take this well." I kept my voice even. "Lawrence doesn't need to know who's behind it. Not yet." They exchanged looks, weighing their options. A lifeline from an anonymous investor when their backs were against the wall. "The funds are in escrow," Nora added. "Paperwork's ready." 2 hours later, I sat in my car, hands steady but heart racing. 3 signatures had sealed the deal. My phone buzzed. "Victor, where are you?" "Dad's here, says it's urgent." I drove home, curiosity simmering. What could Lawrence want now? When I arrived, they were in Victor's study, voices low, doors shut. I crept closer, catching snippets. "Mystery investor?" Lawrence muttered, his tone strained. "They're offering 51%, control of the company." Victor sounded stunned. "Dad, we can't let this happen. We may not have a choice," Lawrence snapped. "The banks are closing in." I stepped back, composing myself, then walked past the door, my heels clicking loudly to announce my presence. "Elena!" Victor called, opening the door. "You're late. How was your meeting?" I smiled, serene, very productive. Lawrence barely acknowledged me, his face etched with worry. "I should go," he said abruptly. "Victor, we'll talk tomorrow." After he left, Victor poured a scotch, his hands unsteady. "Rough day?" I asked, my tone neutral. "Just business," he said, waving me off. "Nothing you'd get. How's your little tech thing?" I thought of the contracts Nora was filing, the millions I'd funneled, the power now in my hands. "Oh, you know," I said, shrugging, "just moving forward." He patted my shoulder, dismissive as ever. "That's my girl. Keep at it." Upstairs, alone, I smiled into the darkness. Let them fret over their mystery investor. Let them scramble. The real shock was coming. At the next family dinner, Cassandra's voice cut through the clink of silverware. "Elena, tell us about this tech thing. Still helping people with their Twitter accounts?" The table chuckled, a practiced symphony. The air felt heavier tonight. Lawrence's phone buzzing constantly, Evelyn's smile tighter, Victor fidgeting with his cufflinks. "Actually," I began, "we've grown quite a bit." "Oh, are you selling apps now?" Cassandra interrupted, smirking. Victor mentioned something about a website. More laughter, even from the staff clearing plates. "No apps?" I said, my voice steady. "We develop AI-driven solutions for—" "Speaking of solutions," Victor cut in, "remember when Elena tried to organize that charity auction? What a mess." Evelyn touched her necklace, her voice dripping with pity. "Dear, there's no shame in sticking to what you know." I gripped my napkin, recalling how they'd mocked my effort to contribute, to be more than their trophy. At least she tries, Lawrence muttered, eyes on his phone. Cassandra leaned forward, relentless. Trying sweet, but Elena, these online ventures, they rarely pan out. My friend Laura tried selling candles online, back with her parents now. I stood, my chair scraping. Excuse me. In the powder room, I let the frustration burn through me. Not tears, but fire. In hours, I could unravel them all. A soft knock came. Victor, not now, I snapped. It's Sophie, a young voice replied. I opened the door to find Cassandra's niece, holding a glass of water. Thought you might need this. Aunt Cass can be a lot. I took it, grateful. Thanks, kid. I looked you up, Sophie said, glancing over her shoulder. You're real company, not the fake site you show them. You're kind of a big deal. I froze. Sophie, you can't. Don't worry, she grinned. I won't spill. Saw your Forbes mention, the anonymous exec shot. Smart move. I leaned against the sink. Why don't you tell them, she asked, how you're killing it? I sighed. Sometimes it's better to be underestimated. She nodded, like she got it. Like in poker. Let them think they've got the better hand. My phone buzzed. Nora. It's done. All signatures. You own 51% of Hawthorne Enterprises. Call me. Elena, Victor's voice boomed. Dinner's waiting. Sophie rolled her eyes. Uncle Victor's so clueless. I smiled, squeezing her shoulder. You're sharper than them, Sophie. Stay that way. Back at the table, Cassandra was mid-story about another failed startup. There you are, Victor frowned. You're being rude. I sat, calm now, letting their jabs bounce off. Sorry, I said, my voice honeyed. Cassandra, please go on. She smirked. Some people just aren't built for success. They should stick to their lane. Sophie caught my eye, mimicking a poker chip falling. I hid a smile. My phone buzzed again. Nora. Board meeting tomorrow. Ready to play your cards? I typed back, ready. The next morning, in Nora's office, I signed the final papers. As of 10 a.m., she said, you control Hawthorne Enterprises. Board's notified in an hour. I stood by the window, watching the city pulse below. Is Lawrence in his office? Nora nodded. Want the boardroom feed? I settled into a chair as she pulled up the live stream. Lawrence sat at the table's head, scrolling his phone. Board members filed in, avoiding his gaze. Notice should hit now, Nora said. On screen, Lawrence's phone lit up. His face paled as he read, standing to loosen his tie. Play audio, I whispered. This can't be right, Lawrence's voice crackled. Who approved this? It's airtight, a board member said. But who's behind it? Lawrence demanded, slamming a fist. They're anonymous for now, another replied. But they're keeping operations stable. My phone buzzed. Victor calling. I ignored it. He's probably panicking, Nora said. On screen, Victor burst into the room. Dad, what's happening? I cut the feed. Enough. Everything else set? Nora handed me a folder. Voting. Rights. Signatures. All here. Reveal when you're ready. I drove home, savoring the moment. Victor's car was gone, still at the office, likely spiraling with Lawrence. I changed into yoga gear, heading to my home gym. Let them think I'm oblivious when the storm hits. An hour later, the front door slammed. Elena, Victor stormed in, face flushed. I kept running on the treadmill. Where were you? I called 10 times. Working out, I said, gesturing to the machine. Roy, what's wrong? Everything. He raked his hands through his hair. Some investor bought 51% of the company. Dad's freaking out and the board's stonewalling us. I slowed to a walk. That sounds big. Big? He laughed. Manic. It's a catastrophe. They could tank everything. Or save it, I thought, recalling the dire financials. I'm sure your dad will sort it out, I said, stepping off. He always does. You don't get it, he snapped. This isn't your little tech toy. It's real business. I swallowed a retort. Soon, he'd see how real my business was. My phone buzzed. Mia, Business Insider just broke the story. You're a legend. Who's that? Victor's demanded. Just a client, I said smoothly. I've got a call in 10. Seriously? He scoffed. Our family's imploding and you're worried about your blog? I headed to my office. We all have priorities, Victor. He followed, voice rising. You've been off lately. Distant. What's going on? I turned, studying him. The entitled glare. The assumption I owed him answers. 4 years ago, I'd found him magnetic. Now he just looked small. Nothing's going on. I said, smiling. You'll see soon enough. I shut the office door, dialed Nora. They're unraveling, she said. 4 outlets called about the takeover. Lawrence canceled his week. Perfect, I replied. Set the reveal for Friday's dinner. I want them all there. Bold, Nora chuckled. Papers will be ready. Sure about the timing? I heard Victor on the phone outside, voice frantic, probably with Lawrence. I've waited 4 years, I said. 3 more days won't hurt. Friday's dinner loomed as I pulled into the Hawthorne estate, my new Audi, a secret purchase, gleaming under the light. Nora's car trailed mine. Ready? She asked, clutching her briefcase. I smoothed my tailored blazer, another hidden splurge. Born ready. Inside, the dining room buzzed with tension. Elena! Victor called, irritation clear. You're late and Dad's got urgent business. I paused in the hall, steadying myself. Coming, dear. I brought a guest. Victor's voice faltered as Nora and I entered. Lawrence sat at the table's head, papers strewn before him. Evelyn gripped her wine glass too tightly. Cassandra was mid-sentence, likely mocking me again. What's she doing here? Cassandra pointed at Nora. This is family. Nora smiled, setting her briefcase down. I'm here professionally. Lawrence's eyes narrowed. You're the attorney from the takeover filing. Correct, Nora said, pulling out documents. What is this? Victor demanded, looking between us. I took my seat, Nora at my side. Everyone, let's talk calmly. Lawrence, you were about to share news about the new majority shareholder? His hand shook. How do you know about the investor? I leaned forward. I know a lot, actually. Cassandra laughed, nervous. What would you know about corporate deals? You can't even manage an Instagram account. I nodded to Nora, who began passing out papers. No, Lawrence whispered, scanning the first page. This can't be. Victor snatched his copy. What's can't be? The entity that bought 51% of Hawthorne Enterprises, I said, voice clear. I own it. Silence swallowed the room. Even the staff froze. You? Cassandra sputtered. This is a prank, right? Victor's laugh was shaky. You expect us to believe your little tech hobby. My hobby cleared 10 figures last year. I cut in, watching their faces. While you mocked my blog, I built a company bigger than yours, big enough to buy control of your empire. Evelyn clutched her necklace. Lawrence, do something. It's done, he said, voice hollow, staring at the papers. She owns us. Not exactly, I corrected. I saved you. Your books were 6 months from collapse. You're welcome. Victor's face reddened. You betrayed me. Your own husband. Like you betrayed me, I asked, voice soft but steel. Every time you laughed at my dreams, dismissed my work, treated me like a prop. This is absurd. Cassandra stood. We're your family. No, I said. You're Victor's family. You made that clear. Sophie, watching from the corner, gave a subtle thumbs up, her eyes gleaming. Monday's board meeting will finalize everything, Nora said. Elena will take her role as majority shareholder and chair. Lawrence seemed to shrink. You orchestrated this from the start. No, I said, honest. I planned to thrive despite you. Buying your company was just opportunity. Victor slumped, silent. Evelyn sobbed quietly. This will ruin us, she whispered. Only if the world knows you were saved by the woman you belittled, I said. I'll keep it quiet, for now. What do you want? Lawrence asked, voice hoarse. I smiled. I have it. Control, influence, and the satisfaction of proving you wrong. Cassandra grabbed her purse. I'm done here. Sit, I said, voice low. We're discussing the new structure. You'll want to hear this. She sat, fuming. Victor reached for my hand. Elena, we can fix this. I pulled away. No, Victor. We're past talking. Now, we're doing business. Nora opened her briefcase. Shall we start? I looked at their stunned faces, the mighty Hawthorne's silence. Yes, I said. Let's start. Cassandra slammed her hand down. You can't do this. I've led the European division for 6 years. Into a ditch, Nora said, sliding a report forward. The data's clear. Effective immediately, I continued. Lawrence steps down as CEO, staying on as an advisor. Cassandra, you're reassigned to regional marketing. Marketing? She shrieked. That's junior level. It's a chance to learn, I said, unruffled, to contribute something real. Victor stared at his glass, finally speaking. And me? Planning to demote your husband? I sipped my water. That's up to you, Victor. Ready to earn your place? He stood, chair crashing back. Earn it? I've given everything. No, I said. You've taken everything. There's a difference. How dare you? Evelyn cried. After all we've done for you. Done? I laughed. You gave me 4 years of scorn, public shaming at every turn. We welcomed you, Cassandra shot back. No, you tolerated me. There's a difference. Lawrence rubbed his temples. Name your price, Elena. Money? Shares? What? I have money, I said. More than you know. And power? I gestured to the papers. I have that too. You're unhinged, Victor spat. Power mad. Actually, Sophie piped up, I think she's incredible. While you mocked her, she built an empire. Now she owns you. That's epic. Sophie, Cassandra snapped. What? It's true, Sophie grinned. Total power move. I smiled, warmth cutting through the tension. Thank you, Sophie. This is a disaster, Evelyn moaned. What will people think? They'll think what we tell them, I said. I'll keep this quiet, but that depends on your cooperation. Victor laughed, bitter. Extortion. Now? Business, I corrected. Something you claim to understand. Nora cleared her throat. Monday's press release can call this a partnership or a takeover after years of mismanagement. Silence fell. Lawrence stared at his hands. Cassandra's composure cracked, mascara smudging. My office, Lawrence said, voice breaking. You'll need it cleared by Monday. You can use the 5th floor annex for advisory work, I said. Victor grabbed his keys. I need air. We're not done, I called, but he stormed out, the door slamming. Well, Cassandra stood, yanking Sophie's arm. I hope you're satisfied, tearing us apart. No, I said. Your arrogance did that. I just brought it to light. Mom, Sophie said, pulling free. Can I stay? I want to talk strategy with Aunt Elena. Cassandra froze, then left without a word, Lawrence and Evelyn trailing behind. That was intense, Nora said, packing her briefcase. I stared at the empty table, the scattered dishes, the weight of it all settling. Did I get what I wanted? You got everything, Nora said. Regrets? I picked up Victor's glass, abandoned on the table. No regrets, just aftermath. Alone in the dining room, I sat amid the wreckage of their perfect world. My phone buzzed. A text from Sophie. You're my idol. Don't let them dim your shine. I smiled, her words a small anchor. 2 weeks later, Victor appeared in my new office. Lawrence's old corner suite, looking worn, his usual polish faded. Nice space, he said, gesturing to the city view. Dad loved this view. I know, I said, not looking up from my laptop. That's why I took it. What do you want? He sank into a chair. I've been thinking, maybe we rushed things. The divorce, the fight. We could still work together. Your vision, my network. I met his eyes, skeptical, convenient. Now that the stock's up 18% under my leadership, he flushed. That's not... I'm trying, Elena. No, you're adjusting, I said, standing. How's the condo search? Tough, he admitted. Look, I messed up. I underestimated you. I'm sorry. Sorry? I laughed sharp. 2 weeks ago, you called me a traitor. What changed? Oh, right. The company's recovery. My phone buzzed. Cassandra calling. I declined. She's been reaching out, Victor said. They all have. Dad left voicemails about loyalty, compromise. I know, I said. 8 from him yesterday. Can you blame them? You flipped their world. No, I corrected. I saved their world. Europe's stabilizing. Clients are returning. The board's thrilled. My assistant buzzed. Your Bloomberg interview's in 10. Thanks, Leah. I gathered my files. We're done, Victor. Divorce papers are with Nora. Sign them. He stood, a flicker of his old arrogance returning. You'll regret pushing us away. You were never my family, I said. You made sure of that. After he left, I steadied myself for the interview, focusing on the company's turnaround, not the drama. The reporter probed, a secret investor, revealed as the CEO's wife. There's more to this, right? The story, I said firmly, is about rebuilding, not gossip. Later, Mia called. Stock's soaring, you're a machine. The company had bones, I said, just needed direction. Guess who applied for a sales role? She laughed. Cassandra. I paused. Let her interview. Let her prove herself. You're too kind, Mia said. And Victor? Heard he's groveling. He tried, I said, touching my bare ring finger. Some things don't heal. You good? She asked. I looked out at the city, my reflection sharp in the glass. Tailored suit, corner office, unyielding. I'm where I'm meant to be. My phone buzzed. Lawrence again. I deleted his voicemail. Unlistened. Some doors stay closed. 6 months later, Cassandra walked into my office for her performance review, a far cry from the socialite she'd been. Her designer heels were gone, replaced by sensible flats, her demeanor softer. Sales are up 15% in my region, she said, sliding a report across my desk. Client feedback's strong. I nodded, impressed. You're thriving. Enjoying it? She hesitated, then smiled. It's fulfilling, more than luncheons or galas. Good, I said. Keep it up and we'll talk about a broader role. After she left, Mia flopped onto my couch. She's practically human now. You're working miracles. I laughed, picking up my phone. A voicemail from Victor, 3 years old, lingered. The night after I'd tried hosting a community fundraiser, only to be mocked. Play it, Mia said. Get it out of your system. I hit play. Speaker on. Elena, you humiliated me. A bake sale vibe at our club? Call when you're ready to apologize. Mia gagged. What did you see in him? I didn't answer, just stared at the screen. Delete it, she urged. I pressed the button, the message vanishing, along with the last tether to that old life. Feel better? She asked. Feel free, I said. My assistant buzzed. Your 3 p.m. is here. Startup founders. Send them in. 2 young men entered, nervous, clutching pitch decks, just like I'd been years ago. We've got a concept, one stammered. But investors say we're too green. Show me, I said, leaning forward. The best ideas often come from the underestimated. As they spread out their plans, I caught my reflection, poised, powerful, at ease. No more shrinking to fit their mold, no more swallowing their slights. Outside, the city hummed, and somewhere, the Hawthorns were adjusting. Cassandra finding purpose, Lawrence fading into irrelevance, Victor chasing a new life. Me? I was home, not as the outsider they'd dismissed, but as the force they'd never seen coming. Tell me about your vision, I said to the founders, their eyes bright with possibility, and I listened, ready to build again, to lift others as I'd lifted myself, one calculated step at a time. The young founders' voices grew steadier as they walked me through their pitch, their nervous energy giving way to passion. Charts and projections spilled across my desk, each slide a testament to their hunger, their refusal to be dismissed. I leaned back, letting their words sink in, my mind half on their ideas and half on the empire I'd just reshaped. The Hawthorne name, once a towering monolith, now bent to my will, a truth that still sent a quiet thrill through me. My office, with its sprawling view of the city, felt like a throne room, but one I'd earned through years of silent grit. The founders paused, one of them fidgeting with a pen, waiting for my response. It's bold, I said, tapping a finger on their revenue model. Risky but bold. You've got my attention. Flesh out the scalability plan and we'll talk numbers next week. Their faces lit up, gratitude and ambition mixing in their eyes, and I saw a flicker of my younger self, the Elena who'd once pitched to skeptical investors, only to be patted on the head and sent away. As they gathered their materials, my phone buzzed again, another message from Sophie, who'd become my unofficial informant on the Hawthorne family's unraveling. Grandpa's meeting with lawyers today, she wrote. He's still trying to find a loophole. Good luck with that, right? I smiled, typing back, he's fighting a losing battle. Lunch soon? Sophie's reply was instant. Yes, but don't tell Mom I'm fangirling over you. I set the phone down, the warmth of her support a small anchor in the storm I'd unleashed. The Hawthorns were scrambling, each in their own way. Lawrence grasping at fading control, Cassandra adapting to her new reality, Victor chasing relevance with his new fiancé, and me, I was building, not just for myself, but for those who'd been overlooked, like the founders now thanking me profusely as they left. My assistant Leah buzzed through the intercom. Your 5 p.m. is here. Tech analyst from the Journal. Also, Mia's online too. I nodded to myself, the day's rhythm unbroken. Send the analyst in 10 and patch Mia through. Mia's voice burst through the speaker, vibrant as ever. Elena, you're everywhere. That Bloomberg piece? Iconic. They're calling you the Shadow Queen of corporate turnarounds. I laughed, leaning back in my chair. Shadow Queen? I like it. You should, she said. The stock's up another 5%. You're making the Hawthorns look like amateurs. I glanced at the framed photo on my desk, the one from my engagement party, now turned face down. They made it easy, I said, too busy preening to notice their foundation cracking. Mia's tone shifted, softer now. You heard about Victor's engagement party? It's all over the society pages. Newport's elite are eating it up. I felt a twinge, not pain, but a faint echo of the life I'd left behind. Good for him, I said, meaning it. He's someone else's problem now. Mia snorted. Cold, but fair. Anyway, I dug into that European division you asked about. The new manager's solid, but there's a supplier issue. Contracts expiring next month. Want me to handle it? No, I said, pulling up the division's files on my laptop. I'll review it myself. I want every detail perfect before the board meeting. Mia chuckled. Control freak. Call me later. I'm grabbing drinks. With some VCs who want in on your next move. They'll have to wait, I said, ending the call as the analyst knocked. The interview was sharp, focused on numbers and strategy, but the analyst couldn't resist probing. Ms. Elena, your rise, taking control of Hawthorne Enterprises as an outsider. It's unprecedented. Any personal motivation behind it? I smiled, deflecting with ease. Motivation? Just good business. I saw an opportunity and took it. She scribbled a note, unconvinced, but I kept the narrative tight. No need to air the years of slights, the dinner table barbs, the way the Hawthorns had tried to shrink me into their mold. That story was mine, not theirs. As she left, I checked my email. A message from Nora, my attorney, with the subject board meeting prep. Attached were updated bylaws, voting structures, and a draft press release framing my takeover as a strategic evolution. I scanned the documents, my mind already mapping the Monday meeting where I'd step fully into the spotlight, no longer the silent investor, but the undeniable force steering the ship. Hey, before we dive deeper into this saga, let me ask you, have you ever been underestimated, only to prove everyone wrong? Drop a comment below and share your story. I'd love to hear it. And if you're hooked on this tale of ambition and secrets, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's keep this journey going together. The weekend arrived, and with it, another Hawthorne family dinner, an obligation I hadn't yet severed, if only to keep an eye on their reactions. I pulled into the estate, my Audi blending seamlessly with the row of luxury cars, though I knew it drew whispers from the staff. They'd noticed the shift, the way I carried myself, the quiet confidence that hadn't been there a year ago. Inside, the dining room was a study in tension. Lawrence sat at the head, his usual authority dimmed, his eyes darting to his phone every few minutes. Evelyn's smile was brittle, her fingers twisting her napkin. Cassandra, to her credit, looked more composed, though her glances at me held a mix of resentment and curiosity. Victor, seated beside his empty chair, mine, if I chose to claim it, avoided my gaze entirely, his jaw tight. "Elena," Cassandra said as I took my seat, her tone less venomous than usual. "I hear your company's in the news again. Another acquisition?" The table quieted, all eyes on me. I nodded, unfolding my napkin. "We closed a deal with a cybersecurity firm last week. Expands our portfolio." Lawrence's fork paused mid-air, a flicker of something, respect, maybe, crossing his face before he masked it. "Interesting," he said, voice clipped. "And how does that align with Hawthorne's interests?" I met his gaze, unflinching. "It aligns perfectly, since I decide what those interests are." A heavy silence followed, broken only by Sophie's stifled giggle from the corner. She caught my eye, mimicking a slow clap, and I bit back a smile. Evelyn cleared her throat, desperate to shift the mood. "Did anyone see the Thompsons' new yacht? It's stunning, though a bit small compared to ours." The conversation lurched back to familiar territory, estates, vacations, status, but I barely listened. My phone buzzed under the table, a text from Nora. "Lawrence's lawyers are sniffing around. No traction, but they're desperate. Watch, you're back." I typed back, "Let them try. I'm untouchable." And I was. The contracts were ironclad, the funds secure, my position cemented. Yet, as I watched the Hawthorns perform their ritual of self-congratulation, a small part of me wondered, not about regret, but about what came next. Control was mine, but what did I want beyond it? To rebuild? To create? To prove I could outlast their legacy? Dinner dragged on, the usual jabs at my little tech venture, replaced by cautious sidesteps. Cassandra even asked about my latest project, her tone almost genuine. "It's AI-driven analytics," I said, keeping it vague. "Helping companies predict market shifts." She nodded, jotting a mental note, and I realized she was learning, not just to survive, but to compete. Good, let her rise to the challenge. Victor, though, remained silent, his eyes fixed on his plate. When he finally spoke, it was to Lawrence, not me. "Dad, about the board meeting, any updates on the investor issue?" Lawrence's face tightened. "We're handling it," he said, a lie so thin it almost cracked. I sipped my wine, letting them stew in their denial. After dessert, I lingered in the hallway, checking emails, when Sophie slipped out to join me. "They're freaking out," she whispered, grinning. "Grandpa's been on the phone with his lawyer all week. Thinks he can outsmart you." I raised an eyebrow. "He's welcome to try." "How's your internship going?" Her face lit up. "Amazing. Your team's teaching me coding, and I'm working on this app idea. Can I pitch it to you sometime?" "Anytime," I said, squeezing her shoulder. "You're the future, Sophie. Don't let them dim that." She hugged me, quick and fierce, then darted back to the dining room before anyone noticed. My phone buzzed again, a voicemail from Lawrence left just before dinner. I hesitated, then played it, keeping the volume low. "Elena, we need to talk. This situation can't continue. There's a way to resolve this that benefits us all. Call me." His voice was strained, a mix of pride and desperation. I deleted it the decision final. Some bridges weren't worth crossing, not when I'd built my own path. As I drove home, the city lights blurring past, I felt the weight of my choices. Not heavy, but solid, like a foundation I'd laid brick by brick. The hawthorns could adapt or fade. Either way, I was moving forward, my empire growing, my purpose sharpening. Monday's board meeting loomed, a stage for my next act. I spent the weekend preparing, reviewing every detail with Nora and Mia, ensuring no angle was left exposed. The press was circling, hungry for more on the Shadow Queen, but I controlled the narrative. No leaks, no scandals, just results. My assistant buzzed as I finalized my notes. Your 9 a.m. is here, a nonprofit-seeking partnership. I smiled, welcoming the chance to pivot, to build something beyond the Hawthorne drama. 2 women entered, their mission to fund tech education for underserved communities. Their passion was raw, unpolished, but undeniable. We've been turned down before, one admitted. Too small, they say. I leaned forward, my voice steady. Size doesn't matter, vision does. Show me what you've got. As they spoke, I saw myself in their defiance, their refusal to be ignored. I'd been that woman once, pitching to rooms that didn't believe in me. Now I held the power to lift them up, to rewrite their story as I'd rewritten mine. Outside, the city pulsed, a reminder of the world waiting for my next move. The Hawthorns were part of my past, their influence shrinking with every step I took. Cassandra was finding her place, Sophie was rising, Victor was irrelevant, and Lawrence, he'd learn or he'd fade. Me, I was just beginning, my dreams no longer tethered to their approval, my future boundless, my resolve unbreakable. Keep going, I told the women, their eyes bright with hope. I want to hear everything. The nonprofit founders left my office with a tentative agreement for seed funding, their gratitude palpable as they clutched their revised proposals. I watched them go, a quiet satisfaction settling in my chest, not just from the deal, but from the chance to amplify voices that had been ignored, much like mine had been. My office, once Lawrence's sanctum, now felt entirely my own, the walls, lined with awards and articles that bore my name, not the Hawthorne legacy. The city skyline stretched beyond the windows, a canvas of possibility, and I was painting it with every decision, every calculated step. My phone buzzed, pulling me back, a message from Mia. Board meeting's the talk of the town. You ready to own that room? I typed back, born ready, and turned to my laptop where Nora's latest email waited, detailing the final agenda for Monday. Every vote, every motion was locked in my favor. The Hawthorns could squirm, but the outcome was inevitable. As I reviewed the documents, my mind drifted to the weekend's dinner, the way the family's dynamic had shifted under the weight of my reveal. Lawrence's strained composure, Cassandra's cautious respect, Victor's sullen withdrawal. It was a tableau of their unraveling, and I was the artist. Yet, beneath the triumph, a question lingered. What did I want beyond this? I'd claimed control, rewritten their narrative, but the fire that had driven me through years of their mockery was evolving. It wasn't enough to dismantle their empire. I wanted to build something greater, something that outlasted their name. My assistant, Leah, buzzed through the intercom. Your 11 a.m. is here. VCs for the AI division. I nodded to myself, straightening my blazer. Time to expand the horizon. The venture capitalists entered, their tailored suits and polished pitches a stark contrast to the nonprofit founders' raw passion. They were here for profit, not purpose, but I welcomed the challenge. Your AI analytics platform, the lead VC began, it's outpacing competitors. We're prepared to offer $200 million for a 20% stake. I leaned back, letting the number hang in the air. Generous, I said, my tone neutral, but I'm not selling equity. I'm open to a partnership, co-development, shared IP, but I keep control. Their smiles tightened, unaccustomed to pushback, but I held firm. Control was non-negotiable, a lesson carved into me by years of the Hawthorns' condescension. By the meeting's end, they'd agreed to my terms, a deal that would fuel my company's next leap without ceding an inch. After they left, I checked my phone, another text from Sophie. Mom's actually reading a book on sales tactics. Who is she? Also, Grandpa's canceled his golf trip. Says he's strategizing. LOL, I chuckled, picturing Lawrence hunched over legal documents, chasing a way to reclaim his throne. Good luck, I thought, knowing Nora's work was airtight. Sophie's updates were a lifeline, a reminder that not every Hawthorne was lost to their own arrogance. She was different, her curiosity and grit a mirror of my own at that age. I typed back, your mom's waking up. And your grandpa's dreaming. Pitch me that app soon. Her reply was a string of excited emojis, and I smiled, setting the phone down. Lunch was a quick call with Mia, who was buzzing from her VC drinks. "They're obsessed with you," she said, her voice crackling through the speaker. "One guy called you the new queen of tech." I didn't correct him. I laughed, slicing into a salad at my desk. "Let them talk. Keeps the pressure off our next move." "Speaking of," she said, "I found a glitch in the European supplier contracts. Minor, but it could delay renewals. Want me to loop in?" "Nora?" "No," I said, pulling up the files. "Send me the details. I'll handle it." Mia sighed, mock exasperated. "You ever sleep?" "Plenty," I lied, my eyes scanning the contract terms. Every detail mattered, especially now, with the board meeting looming and the press circling like vultures. The afternoon blurred into a series of calls, department heads reporting on the European division's recovery, analysts forecasting stock trends, Nora confirming the press release's final draft. Each piece locked into place, a machine I'd built from the ashes of the Hawthorne's mismanagement. Yet, as the day wound down, I found myself staring at the face-down engagement photo on my desk. I flipped it over, studying Victor's smile, my own naive hope frozen in time. That Elena felt like a stranger now, her dreams small compared to the reality I'd forged. I set the photo back down, face up this time, a reminder not of loss, but of how far I'd come. Sunday brought a rare moment of quiet. I drove to a coastal trail an hour from the city, the ocean's rhythm a counterpoint to the chaos of my week. As I walked, the salt air clearing my mind, I thought of the board meeting. Tomorrow, I'd step into the Hawthorne Enterprises boardroom, not as Victor's wife, not as the outsider they'd mocked, but as the majority shareholder, the architect of their salvation. The press would be there, cameras flashing, questions flying, but I was ready. My narrative was ironclad. Growth, innovation, stability. No mention of the family drama, no hint of the personal cost. The Hawthornes could whisper their grievances in private. In public, they'd play their parts, or I'd let the world see their failures laid bare. Back home, I reviewed my speech. One last time, the words sharp and deliberate, crafted to inspire confidence while signaling my unchallenged authority. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from Cassandra, of all people. I hesitated, then played it. "Elena, it's me. I wanted to say your changes to the marketing team. They're working. I closed a deal today, a big one. I didn't expect to enjoy this, but thank you for the chance." Her voice was softer, stripped of its usual edge. I saved the message, a small victory in the larger war. Cassandra was bending, not breaking, and that was enough for now. Monday morning arrived, crisp and electric. I walked into the Hawthorne Enterprises tower, my tailored suit a quiet declaration of power. The boardroom was already buzzing, board members murmuring, reporters lining the walls. Lawrence sat at the far end, his face a mask of resignation. Victor was absent, cowardly but unsurprising. Cassandra, to my surprise, was there, seated among the junior executives, her notepad open, her expression focused. I took my place at the head of the table, Nora at my side, and the room fell silent. "Good morning," I began, my voice steady, commanding. "Today marks a new chapter for Hawthorne Enterprises. Under my leadership, we've stabilized operations, restored client trust, and charted a path to unprecedented growth. Let's discuss the future." The meeting unfolded flawlessly, my agenda driving every decision. Board members nodded, their earlier skepticism replaced by deference. Cassandra even spoke up, proposing a marketing pivot that aligned with my vision, a move I hadn't expected but welcomed. Lawrence said little, his eyes fixed on the table, but I caught a flicker of acknowledgement when I outlined the European division's recovery. The press ate it up, their questions sharp but manageable, my answers polished yet firm. By the time we adjourned, the room buzzed with a new energy, one I'd ignited. Afterward, in my office, Nora poured 2 coffees, a rare grin on her face. "You owned that, Elena. The stock's already ticking up." I sipped my coffee, the adrenaline still humming. "It's a start. What's next?" She slid a folder across my desk, proposals for a new R&D lab, a potential acquisition, a partnership with a clean energy startup. "Your call," she said. I flipped through the pages, my mind racing with possibilities. The Hawthornes were no longer the story. They were a footnote in mine. Somewhere, Lawrence was regrouping, Cassandra was rising, Victor was fading, and Sophie? She was waiting for our lunch, her app pitch ready, her future bright. I leaned back, the city sprawling before me, and felt the weight of my choices, not as a burden, but as a foundation. I'd torn down their walls, but I was building something better. something lasting. My phone buzzed. Another message from Sophie. Killed. It today, Aunt Elena. You're my hero. I smiled, typing back. You're mine, kid. The world was shifting, and I was its axis. My ambition boundless. My story far from over. Let's get to work, I told Nora, turning to the proposals, ready to shape what came next. One unyielding step at a time. The proposals Nora handed me were a map to the future, each page brimming with potential. New labs, acquisitions, partnerships that could redefine my company's reach. I spread them across my desk, the weight of possibility grounding me after the board meeting's electric high. The room still hummed with the echo of my voice, the way I'd commanded the space, turning skeptics into allies and silencing doubters with numbers and vision. The Hawthorne Enterprises Tower, once a monument to their untouchable legacy, now bore my imprint, its corridors whispering my name instead of theirs. I glanced at the city beyond my windows, the late morning light glinting off glass and steel, and felt a surge of clarity. This wasn't just about winning, it was about creating, about forging a legacy that would outshine the one I dismantled. My phone buzzed, snapping me back. A text from Mia. You're trending on X. Elena the Unstoppable. Shall I frame the screenshots? I smirked, typing back. Only if you print them in gold. Nora sipped her coffee, watching me with a mix of pride and amusement. You're not slowing down, are you? She asked, nodding at the proposals. Not a chance, I said, picking up the clean energy startup's pitch. Its focus on sustainable tech intrigued me, aligning with the broader vision I was shaping. Not just profit, but impact. This one, I said, tapping the document. Set a meeting with their team for Wednesday. I want to see their prototypes in person. Nora jotted a note, her efficiency a quiet comfort in the chaos of my ascent. And the R&D lab? She prompted. Prioritize it, I said. We need to stay ahead of the AI curve. Hire the best. MIT, Stanford, wherever they're hiding. Money's no object. She raised an eyebrow but didn't argue, already pulling up her tablet to draft the necessary emails. As she worked, I leaned back, my mind drifting to the board meeting's aftermath. The press had swarmed, their questions, a mix of awe and hunger for scandal. But I'd kept them at bay, steering the narrative to growth and innovation. The reporters wanted the personal angle, the wife-turned-tycoon, the family drama, but I gave them nothing, my answers polished, impenetrable. Let the Hawthorns whisper their grievances in their gilded cages. The world would see only my results. Cassandra's unexpected contribution during the meeting lingered in my thoughts, her marketing pivot sharp and well-reasoned. She was adapting, shedding the socialite's armor for something realer, and I found myself respecting her for it, even if grudgingly. Lawrence, though, had been a shadow of himself, his silence louder than any protest. And Victor's absence? A final surrender? Or perhaps a new scheme brewing in the wings? I'd find out soon enough. My phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail from Sophie, her voice bright through the speaker. Aunt Elena, you were epic today. Mom's freaking out because her sales team keeps asking about you. Like, they're obsessed. Also, my app's almost ready for a demo. Can we do dinner instead of lunch? I've got school stuff. I smiled, saving the message. Sophie was a spark in the Hawthorne gloom, her ambition untainted by their entitlement. I typed back, dinner works, bring your prototype, proud of you. Her reply was instant, a heart emoji and you're the best. I set the phone down, warmth cutting through the steel of my focus. She was why I kept pushing, not just to prove the Hawthorns wrong, but to show her, and others like her, what was possible when you refused to be diminished. Leah's voice crackled through the intercom. Your 2 p.m. is here. Consultants for the European supplier contracts. I nodded, straightening the proposals. Send them in. The consultants, a trio in crisp suits, spread their reports across my desk, detailing the expiring contracts Mia had flagged. The primary issue, the lead began, is the reliance on a single supplier for critical components. If they pull out, production stalls. I scanned the data, my mind already mapping solutions. Options? I asked, voice crisp. Diversify, she replied. We've identified 3 potential partners, 2 in Germany, 1 in Sweden. Each has capacity, but they'll need incentives. I nodded, circling a name on the report. Sweden's got the edge on sustainability. Start negotiations, but keep the Germans on standby. I want terms by Friday. They scribbled notes, impressed but unsurprised. My reputation for decisiveness was spreading, and I leaned into it. Every choice a brick in the empire I was building. After they left, I pulled up the European division's latest metrics. Cassandra's sales bump was holding, client retention climbing under her new strategies. I sent her a brief email. Strong work on the region. Let's discuss expanding. Your role next quarter. Her reply came minutes later, formal but tinged with gratitude. Thank you, Elena. I'm ready to contribute more. I archived the message, a small nod to her growth. She wasn't an ally, not yet, but she was no longer an enemy, and that was progress. My thoughts turned to Lawrence, his canceled golf trip a sign of his desperation, Sophie's intel about his lawyer meetings gnawed at me, not because I doubted Nora's work, but because I knew Lawrence's pride wouldn't let him rest. He'd fight, even if it was futile, and I needed to stay one step ahead. The afternoon blurred into more meetings, department heads updating me on R&D timelines, analysts pitching new market entries, a quick call with Mia to finalize the supplier strategy. Each task sharpened my focus, the machine of my company humming under my command. Yet, as the sun dipped below the skyline, I found myself staring at the engagement photo again. Victor's smile, a ghost of a life I'd outgrown. I hadn't loved him in years, not truly, but the memory of who I'd been with him, hopeful, eager to belong, stirred a faint ache. I pushed it down, flipping the photo face down once more. That Elena was gone, replaced by someone stronger, someone who didn't need their approval or their love. Tuesday brought a new rhythm, the city waking under a steel-gray sky. I arrived at the tower early, my office a sanctuary of order amid the chaos of growth. Leah greeted me with a stack of reports and a coffee, her efficiency a quiet gift. The clean energy startup confirmed for tomorrow, she said, handing me their revised pitch. And the press is asking for a follow-up on yesterday's meeting. Forbes wants an exclusive. I nodded, skimming the startup's specs. Tell Forbes I'll consider it, but no personal questions. And get me the startup's financials. Every detail. She jotted notes, already moving to her desk, and I settled into mine, the day's agenda sprawling before me. The morning was a marathon, calls with investors, a briefing on the R&D lab's site selection, a review of the AI division's latest prototype. Each decision felt like sculpting, chiseling away at the raw material of opportunity to create something enduring. Mia joined me for a working lunch, her laptop open to a competitor analysis. They're scrambling to catch up, she said, pointing to a rival's stock dip. Your AI platform's got them spooked. I smiled, spearing a piece of grilled chicken. Good, let them chase us. She laughed, then sobered. Heard from Victor? I shook my head. Not since the divorce papers. He's probably neck-deep in wedding plans. Her eyes softened. You okay with that? I met her, gaze unflinching. I'm okay with everything. He's history. The afternoon brought a surprise. A visit from Sophie, who'd convinced her school to let her shadow me for a career day. She bounced into my office, her backpack slung over one shoulder, her eyes wide as she took in the space. This is so cool, she said, spinning in my chair. You're like running the world from here. I laughed, handing her a tablet with my company's latest app. Not the world, just a corner of it. Show me your prototype. She hesitated, then pulled up her project, a social platform for teens to share coding projects, with gamified challenges to keep them engaged. It was rough but clever, her passion evident in every feature. This is strong, I said, scrolling through her mock-ups. You need a better UI, but the core is solid. Want to pitch it to my dev team? Her jaw dropped. Seriously? Seriously? I said, smiling. You're a Hawthorne, but you're better than that. Prove it. Sophie's visit was a bright spot, but the day's demands didn't relent. A late call with the Swedish supplier locked in favorable terms, and a follow-up with Nora confirmed Lawrence's legal efforts were stalling. No loopholes, no leverage. He's grasping, she said, her voice crackling through the speaker. But he's got nothing. Keep monitoring, I replied, my eyes on a new email from Cassandra, proposing a client summit to boost regional sales. I approved it, impressed by her initiative, and sent a note to Leah to schedule a strategy session. The machine kept turning, every cog aligned, every move deliberate. Wednesday's meeting with the clean energy startup was a revelation. Their prototypes, compact solar cells with triple the efficiency of current models, were game changers, but their team lacked the capital to scale. I saw the opportunity immediately, a partnership that could position my company as a leader in sustainable tech, with ripple effects across industries. We're in, I told their CEO, a young engineer with fire in her eyes. My team will handle manufacturing and distribution. You focus on R&D. Deal? She nodded, stunned, and I felt that familiar thrill, the power to lift others while building my own empire. We shook hands, and I tasked Nora with drafting the contracts, my mind already racing to the next step. Back at the office, I found a package on my desk, a leather-bound journal, no note, but the handwriting on the label was Evelyn. I opened it, expecting a plea or an accusation, but found only blank pages, a silent gesture that could mean anything: surrender, respect, or something else entirely. I set it aside, unwilling to decode their games. My phone buzzed. A text from Mia. Lawrence just fired his lead lawyer. Guy quit in a huff. Drama. I laughed, typing back, he's unraveling. Keep me posted. The Hawthorns were fading, their grip loosening with every day I tightened mine. Thursday was a whirlwind. Site visits for the R&D lab, a keynote for a tech conference, a dinner with investors who wanted a piece of my AI platform. I navigated each with precision, my confidence unshakable, my vision clear. The conference speech drew a standing ovation, the room packed with faces who saw me not as Victor's wife, but as Elena, the force reshaping the industry. Backstage, a reporter cornered me, her recorder thrust forward. What's next for you, Elena? You've conquered Hawthorne Enterprises. What's the endgame? I smiled, deflecting with ease. Endgame? I'm just getting started. She pressed, but I slipped away, my focus already on the investors' dinner, where I secured another $500 million for the clean energy venture. Friday brought a new family dinner, one I nearly skipped but attended for Sophie's sake. The estate felt smaller now, its grandeur dimmed by the reality of my power. Lawrence greeted me with a curt nod, his eyes weary, his fight all but gone. Evelyn's smile was warmer, almost genuine, and I wondered if the journal had been her olive branch. Cassandra, seated across from me, spoke of her sales summit with quiet pride, her transformation undeniable. Victor was there, his new fiancé, absent, his presence a shadow of its former weight. Elena, he said, his voice low as we passed in the hall. Can we talk? Privately? I studied him, the man I'd once loved, now a stranger. There's nothing to say, I replied, brushing past. He grabbed my arm, then released it under my glare. You've changed, he said, almost sad. No, I corrected. I've become. Dinner was quieter, the usual barbs replaced by cautious respect. Sophie, seated beside me, whispered updates on her app, her excitement infectious. I told Mom about the dev team pitch, she said, grinning. She's jealous, but trying not to show it. I squeezed her hand, proud of her fire. Lawrence spoke little, his phone untouched, a stark contrast to his usual frenzy. When he did address me, it was about the R&D lab, his tone neutral but probing. Ambitious, he said, referencing the press coverage. You're moving fast. Someone had to, I replied, meeting his gaze. The table stilled, but he only nodded, a flicker of something, defeat perhaps, crossing his face. After dinner, Sophie pulled me aside, her tablet glowing with her app's latest iteration. I added a mentorship feature, she said, scrolling through. For kids like me who don't have connections. I nodded, impressed. You're thinking big. Let's get you in front of my team next week. Her eyes shone, and I saw the future in her. Not a Hawthorne, but a creator, unbound by their legacy. As I drove home, the night air cool against my skin, I felt the weight of my choices settle. Not heavy, but solid, a foundation for what came next. The Hawthorns were adapting or fading, their story no longer mine to carry. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mia, clean energy, deals trending. You're rewriting the game. I smiled, typing back, just warming up. Saturday was a rare day of reflection. I walked the coastal trail again, the ocean's roar a mirror to my resolve. The clean energy partnership was in motion, the R&D lab breaking ground, Sophie's app gaining traction with my team. The Hawthorns were a distant hum, Cassandra thriving, Lawrence retreating, Victor irrelevant. I was building, not just for myself, but for those who'd been underestimated, their dreams dismissed as mine had been. Back home, I opened Evelyn's journal, pen in hand, and wrote a single line, "The future is mine." The pages stretched empty before me, a canvas for what I'd create next, my ambition boundless, my story unfolding with every unyielding step.
Elena's story had us on the edge of our seats, turning the tables on the Hawthorns with sheer cunning and unstoppable drive. From dinner table slights to owning their empire, she redefined power. Hungry for more drama like this? There's another story just as intense, filled with hidden motives and jaw-dropping power plays. It's the perfect follow-up to keep the adrenaline going. Click to dive in now. It's too good to pass up.